K-Pop Demon Hunters is, without a doubt, one of the best movies to come out this century. With overwhelmingly positive reviews, most of them starting with, "I thought I was gonna hate this movie." It comes into 2025 absolutely dominating everything from the box office to the Billboard Top 100. In fact, last I heard, all 5 songs were on the top 10. That's pretty insane. But the movie itself is so much deeper than most people actually discuss. We live in a world where media literacy is at an all-time low. Far too many people watched this film and thought, "Pretty Girl's song would be fun." If you're here, you found a super obscure corner of YouTube. The algorithm saw how much you love this movie and it blessed me with your time, so let's not waste it too much. Obviously, this will contain the heaviest of spoilers. I'm writing this under the assumption that you've seen the movie at least once, if not 20 times. These are my interpretations. You may hear and read something completely different. My goal isn't to tell you what to think, but more to encourage you to look deeper into media and understand both what they're trying to say as what it makes you feel. A line or a scene may say one thing for me, but it may say the opposite for you, depending on how you hear it and what your life experiences are. And that's the power of art. There is no correct answer. So, K-Pop Demon Hunters. Listen, I love the movie. It's my new favorite film since Spirited Away, but just read the title. And the worst part is they already have a better title built into the movie. Why wasn't it just called Huntrix? It's such a cool name, and it's their movie anyway. Anyway, small rant aside, I adore this film, and I wish I could skip straight to the good part, which is the song What It Sounds Like. That's really what inspired me to start this channel and start doing this. But in order to do that song real justice, I kinda have to give more context. Specifically, we need to go over Golden first. So that's where we're gonna start. Golden plays early in the film. It's actually the second song, happening just after the group finishes their final concert of their big tour. Mira and Zoey are celebrating, excited for their 2-week break, but during the show, they spot something unexpected. The Hanmoon, which is their spiritual barrier that protects the world from demons, has started to shimmer gold. They've been working towards that gold for decades, not just these hunters, but of course the prior generations. This causes Rumi to jump the gun. You see, Rumi is half demon. Her foster mother taught her to view it as a flaw or a contamination. She's been lying to Mira and Zoey for years and pretty much everyone. And the guilt and the fear and the internalized self-hatred, it's all starting to catch up to her. The cough isn't just a cough, it's really her fear manifesting in the one place she can't afford to lose, her voice. She believes that if she can turn the Hanmoon gold, her demon markings will disappear. A fact presented to her by Celine with zero understanding of actually how any of this works. That's really a theme of the movie, is nobody knows how any of this works. Not just the audience, but the hunters themselves. They don't know why demons are what they are. They don't know why they disappear in a puff of pink confetti. They just do what they were taught by the previous generation. And that itself is a heavy message of the movie. Generational trauma. At this point in the movie, we know very little about Rumi. We know that she's the daughter of a famous singer who died when she was a baby. We know that she's an elite idol and a key member of Huntrix, and she fights demons. Golden is where we learn a bit more about her, specifically her past that the general public doesn't know, or anyone really, except for Celine. And maybe the third member of Sunshine Sisters that we never really hear about. Rumi was raised in what seems like near isolation. As a child, she was taught to hide her demonic markings by Celine. Not just to cover them up, but to be ashamed of them, like they were wrong. In a flashback after Golden, we actually see little Rumi talking to Celine, asking if they hunt and kill all demons, and Celine says yes. When Rumi pulls her sleeve up and reveals that she has the same markings as demon, Celine rejects them, pulls them down, and tells them that she has to cover them up and hide them, that that's not who she is. At this point, Rumi's like 6 years old. Imagine what that does to a child that's already lost so much. Childhood trauma is no joke. Being told that her very body is wrong, that her identity must remain secret forever, and worse, that the people she trusts most might actually just kill her if they knew the truth. And this is why we needed the backstory for Rumi, because these lines, a lot of these songs have layered meanings depending on the context. It means something different for the audience, and then for the characters, and even then the actual song itself that's being performed, you know? The first 2 lines are, "I was a ghost, I was alone," and then it says some Korean which translates roughly to "into the darkened path ahead," or "the darkened path ahead." So when she's talking about being a ghost and being alone, she was, as I mentioned, isolated, and she couldn't tell anybody or show anybody who she really is. And her path looked dark. It looked like one of loneliness until she found the girls. She found Zoey and Mira. The next couple of lines are, "Given the throne, I didn't know how to believe I was the queen that I meant to be." This one's less about Rumi's demon stuff. It's more about who she is as the daughter of a Sunshine Sister and the goddaughter of another Sunshine Sister, who are pop star royalty, as I said earlier in the video. She was literally given the throne and expected to sit in it as the queen of pop, and of course the lead singer and the Hanmoon stealing demon killing hunters. But the difference is she has that demonic blood inside her. She's different from, as far as we know, any other hunter that's ever existed. She's supposed to be pop star royalty, this stage presence, but she also has to constantly hide her entire body. I don't know if you've ever watched or seen much pop music videos, but they don't usually cover their entire arms in jackets. The line itself isn't just not about just imposter syndrome, it's about the contradiction of what she is. She's trying to reconcile being an idol with something that the world would reject, or she believes would reject at any rate, if they saw her completely. She doesn't know how. Nobody would know how to accomplish that. But it actually goes even beyond. The next bit of song is actually Zoey and Mira. Zoey comes in and says, "I lived two lives, tried to play both sides, but I couldn't find my own place," which is really a stark contrast to Rumi's life, where she had two lives, but she could only live one of them. Earlier in the film, during the intro, we learned that Zoey was raised in America, and we get a brief but really important flashback that shows just how long she's wanted to be what she is. In high school, you can see her clutching a Sunlight Sisters magazine like it's a sacred tome and scribbling lyrics into a notebook that, if you look closely, is actually the lyrics to How It's Done. Now, we don't really have a timeline on this, if it's before or after she's joined Huntrix, and she's even began her training, but we don't really need to know that, because the point is she's sitting by herself with headphones on during what is clearly a break in school, and she's isolated and really looks like she doesn't belong. The kids at school apparently all made fun of her a lot. She spent all of her time buried in notebooks writing lyrics. If you live with ADHD or autism, or have ever just been the weird kid with a hyperfixation, you kind of really get this. She was living two lives, trying to be a normal teenager and then also chasing this massive glittering dream of being a pop star on the other side. But it actually goes even beyond that. Now, we don't know for sure, but we can safely assume that Zoey, living in America, is likely half Korean, half white. It makes these lines make a bit more sense, as well as the visuals. Okay, full disclosure, I am a white male. I can't speak for biracial individuals, or any race for that matter. The only thing I can do is recount anecdotes that I've been told by others and friends. A lot of times, being biracial makes it hard to fit in anywhere. It's often two contradicting cultures, and you really have to balance them and know which side you have to be tuned into at any given point. Especially if your elders are more traditional, having to bow to your Asian descent grandparents while your white grandparents might think that's weird is kind of a thing. And again, I am not trying to speak for all people in all cultures. This is just the message that I read into knowing Zoey's backstory and these very short lyrics. We may find out something completely different in the future. The sequel is announced, but this is how I am interpreting it, and that is the thing about art. You interpret it in different ways. I can imagine how hard it must be for her to even know where her true personality is. It's like she has to be multiple versions of herself at once, not just as a person, but as an identity constantly being shaped by different roles. She's got her normal self, her K-pop idol persona, maybe even a Korean-American hybrid identity. There's a struggle of being not enough in either the eyes of others or having to play up or down different parts of herself to fit in. It creates this constant pressure to switch masks depending on who's watching. That's why the lyric about living two lives and trying to play both sides but not being able to find her own place feels like a reflection of that exact experience. Like I said, we don't know for sure that Zoey is biracial. She might be fully Korean and simply raised abroad, like in America for business or schooling. That's never really confirmed, but based on how she's portrayed through her personality and her shame that Guima exploits later in the movie, it feels like that was always the intent, especially with how deep this movie can go. Of course, that's speculation, but viewed through this lens, her emotional disconnect and fractured identity become way more understandable. In the next lines, we have Mira come in and say, she was called a problem child because I got too wild, but now that's how she's getting paid, endlessly on stage. The Korean seems to translate to the word endlessly. Now, we don't really get any backstory from Mira outside of what we learn in the opening frames of the movie, where she was exactly what she said in this line. She's a problem child and it got too wild, and she was basically a black sheep of the family. She's very loud and brash and very too much. The family in the portrait in the movie, with everyone else pixelated out, says that Mira wasn't a part of their world. She probably did the usual rebellious teenager stuff, got into fights. Her vibes give off very Yusuke Urameshi from Yu Yu Hakusho. That archetype where you're misunderstood and you're a troublemaker and you don't really care what anybody thinks, but you still kind of have a heart of gold and you want to help people even if you don't show it. And then the second line's pretty blunt. She's using her energy to make money. She is getting paid. It also really helps in the combat stuff. You see a lot. It's really obvious that when they get into fights, Mira is the strong arm. Her weapon is incredible. It has a lot of range and cleave power, and she mows down swaths of demons with one swing. Now we go into the pre-chorus. I'm done hiding, now I'm shining, like I'm born to be. The thing about this line is Rumi still hides everything all the time. She says she's done hiding, and in the context of the song, she believes this is going to remove her markings and make it so she doesn't have to hide anymore. The only person that knows what she really is, as we said, Celine, and Celine can't stand that part of her. She hates the part of Rumi that's a demon because in this world, demons are evil. They're hunted and killed in a race. So how could something part demon be good? And how could it be worthy of being the queen? That kind of thinking gets passed down. Celine doesn't just teach Rumi to hide, she actually teaches her to feel shame about her markings. So no, she's not done hiding. She's still doing that, but thankfully by the end of the movie, she does get there. The next couple lines is we're dreaming hard and we came so far, now I believe. There's no and in there, but it speaks better than singing it. This part's a bit trickier because it's half true. They have dreamed hard. They have come very far. They're pretty much, you find out later in the movie, they've won like the Idol Awards 5 times in a row. This year would be 6. And Rumi does believe in what they're trying to do. They're trying to seal the honeymoon. She wants to believe it so that they can save the world and that they're doing something that matters. But we see cracks in that from the very beginning with Rumi, with her questioning her markings and several flashbacks where she asks Celine if maybe the girls would understand and Celine says no. If you've existed for more than 30 seconds on this earth, you know the chorus. We're going up, 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 it's our moment. You know together we're glowing, gonna be golden. I'm going to cut a lot of the fluff out of this part just for the sake of time, but the lyrics are effectively, we're going up, it's our moment, you know together we're glowing, and we're gonna be golden. We're going up with our voices, unbreakable forever, gonna be golden. Now, on the surface, this chorus is pretty simple. It's catchy, it's anthemic, it's very direct. The fans of Huntrix in the universe just hear it as a power anthem. It's a metaphor for fame and for ascent. They're going gold in the sense they're hitting it big. They're going platinum records and becoming unstoppable. But for Rumi, Zoey, and Mira, it's a bit more literal in terms of the honeymoon. When they believe when the honeymoon turns gold, then the demon world will be sealed away forever. And of course, Rumi thinks that her markings will disappear. They're not just talking about a chart position, it's being very literal about what their mission is. And the Korean line in there that's unbreakable forever, it's actually talking about multiple layers, right? Because unbreakable forever refers to the golden honeymoon because it can never be broken. It refers to the bond of the 3 girls because they are chosen family together. Rumi being an orphan, and then Zoey and Mira in their own ways kind of being rejects. And it's also them having an unbroken bond with their fans, which is what powers the honeymoon in the first place. When we get into the post-chorus breakdown, we kind of get into a lot of the same messaging. I'm done hiding, now I'm shining like I'm born to be. It's our times, no fears, no lies, that's who we're born to be. This is more of Rumi declaring that she's done hiding and that she's done pretending and covering up her markings. But if you really listen to the lyrics, you kind of understand that none of the girls are okay. Mira's still terrified that she'll prove her family right, that she is a failure and a reject. Zoe's still scared that she doesn't actually belong anywhere, even in Huntrix, and that she's faking her way through her entire career and achieving a dream that she's not meant to have, very much imposter syndrome. And again, Rumi's thinking that the golden honeymoon will erase her markings, the thing that makes her wrong. They say there's no fears and no lives, but it's all a performance. Everything they're doing right now, any pop star really, you're always on stage pretending. Get on stage and talk about how happy and how great everything is and, you know, how strong you can be, and then you go backstage and you cry because you could say it all you want, but depression drags you down. You would be hard-pressed to find an artist that wasn't broken somehow, because that's how you become an artist in a lot of ways. You put that pain into your work. You also put love into your work. You put your heart into the work, but at the end of the day, it doesn't erase what you have inside you. It doesn't shut Guima up, huh? Go figure. After the full chorus, we go into verse 2, which is, it's not real per se. Rumi is singing to herself. When they perform Golden on stage, Rumi does not sing this part because this is for her. This is more of an inner monologue. And also, this is how the movie reveals that she is half demon, as we've discussed. She pulls down her coat and we see her markings and how they're slowly starting to creep up towards her neck. If you've watched the movie, which hopefully you have, or if you've watched another person like reacting to the movie, everyone pretty much had the same response, which is like, wait, what? The demons had those. You have the patterns, now you have to die, right? At this point, we don't know that she's only half demon and that her dad was a demon. It could just be that she's straight up a demon, like we find out Jinu is later. We still don't know her full story. We don't know anything about Rumi or Rumi's mother and any of that. We don't know if her mother fell in love with a demon or if something far more sinister happened, but I would venture to say it's probably going to end up being that she fell in love with a demon, and that's how this whole thing started, because it proves that demons aren't just inherently awful, evil people. But Rumi does think that there's something wrong with her and that she shouldn't exist, and she's not trying to reclaim the markings as her own, she's trying to erase them completely. She talks about putting the patterns in the past like they're scars to be ashamed of. Not her identity, but something she's desperate to shed. We waited so long to break these walls down and to wake up to feel like me. Put these patterns on the past now and finally live like the girl they all see. She's not talking about who she really is, but who they see, which is kind of the whole thing. She's trying to suppress part of her in order to bring out the other side of her, not understanding that both sides are her. She wants to go to the beach and to the bathhouse with her friends, and she wants to live like a normal girl, or as normal as a international pop star could be, I guess. But until the honeymoon turns gold, she doesn't think she's really allowed to exist. We get into the second pre-chorus, which is no more hiding, I'll be shining like I'm born to be, cause we are hunters, voice is strong, and I know I believe. Again, this is part of Rumi's inner monologue. She genuinely wants to stop hiding and to shine like she was born to be, to live up to her legacy, and just to be Rumi without fear of judgment or danger. When she sings We Are Hunters, Voice is Strong, it's actually the first line of the Hunter's Mantra. We'll cover the Hunter's Mantra in another video, but for now, just know that it's their core belief system and their principles. As the song closes out, Rumi comes back to the same line. I'm done hiding, now I'm shining like I'm born to be. But in the movie itself, she kind of chokes on it. Her lips move, but the sound falters, and she chokes a little bit like she did in the elevator. She looks confused, and then she attempts to sing the line again, but it doesn't work. Anytime in the movie, from here on out, Rumi tries to speak words that she doesn't believe, she sort of chokes on them. It doesn't always happen because she's able to straight up lie to Mira's face about things being okay and when Derpy's in the room. That's right, the cat's name is Derpy. If you didn't know that, it's Derpy and Sussy. I don't know why, but I love them. Tangents aside. She takes 5, runs off stage to check, and the patterns have moved up to her neck. I believe this is because the lyrics of Golden just don't match how Rumi really feels, and so they take over her. But I also don't believe that the patterns actually affect her voice. It's entirely mental, because she still has them later, but she's still able to sing. In fact, she starts getting choked on lyrics during Takedown, but it's not because she can't sing them due to her voice, it's because she can't sing them due to her emotions. It's not vocal strain or stage fright, it's just her patterns and her shame getting to her, and the lying and all of that stuff. Anyways, that's Golden. The messaging, there's so many things packed into this one song, and I tried to cover everything, but this video is already getting really long. So in the next video, I'll be covering what it sounds like, again, because the song uses the motif for Golden in its finale, and it packs a way bigger punch if you really understand what Golden's about, to both the girls and to yourself. And this is just the first video. I've got several more videos planned for Kpop Demon Hunters, breaking down their songs and the scenes and the characters and the themes and basically anything we can. After that, I'll be branching into other media too. I want to talk about games and music and films and whatever grabs my ADHD and a vice grip. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, give the video a like, leave a comment telling me your thoughts, and go ahead and subscribe if you'd like to see what else I put out. Thanks for watching.